You're listening to the Toledo City Paper, reader and radio listener, voted Best of Toledo 2022. The best radio show and best podcast.
Bring what you got. The measuring stick just changed around here, buddy. You're looking at it.
This is the 80s.
Who are you? Pussy. I'm the player to be named later.
Jim Kerr from Simple Minds. Hi, this is Sting.
Every breath you take, every move you make.
Hi, this is Annie Lennox.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Everybody on the count of three. Here we go.
This is Randomosity.
Toledo's only
Vinyl Radio Show.
On air, online, anytime, on demand at your fingertips. Most major streaming media platforms. Facebook.com/Randomosity Podcast, as well as X. Randomosity TOL is where we are on that thing they call social media. And this is Randomosity, Toledo's only vinyl radio show, hosted by yours truly, the one and only Dr. J. Thomas. You've probably heard of me in some circles. I hear I'm quite popular with the older DJ crowd in town. That's all I'm going to say. Hey, if you did not have the opportunity to listen to Randomosity Live this past Saturday for Vinylthon 2024, boy, did you miss out on a good time. We got some highlights for you right now. And in and throughout the show, we're going to be dropping little nuggets here there for you about how to listen to the, quote, producer's cut, the way it was intended to be heard. I'm going to give you that info a little bit later on in the program. All right? Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the doctor is in from Saturday, 4/20 on Randomosity Live. That's Time of Your Life, Bill Medley, Jennifer Warnes, Dirty Dancing, massive #1 hit. You were just telling us off air, Russ, that you played that when it was still new.
Oh, you had to bring that up, didn't you? Yeah, I played first station I ever worked at. That song was out, and the good thing about that song, it's longer. So back in those days, everything was live. So you had to find a long song to go use the restroom. Yeah, that was one of those songs.
Ah, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes. I'm like looking at it, I'm going, man, this song is a lot longer than what I remember.
Yeah, I think it was like 4.5 minutes. Is that what it was?
4:47.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think there was another one that was like 5.5.
Like a soundtrack song.
I think so, yeah, if I remember right. Well, what else was on there?
Let's see here. Let's just run it on down. Be My Baby, The Ronettes, She's Like the Wind. Was it She's Like the Wind, maybe?
No.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
No.
You were just like, no. Hungry Eyes.
Hungry Eyes, that was it.
Yeah.
Yep. Eric Carmen.
That was another one that was the massive hit off that. That's still like, there's a thing on Roku. They got like a Vivo 80s thing.
Yeah.
And the other day they were running soundtrack songs. And I swear, like, they ran like at least 2 or 3 songs off of this album.
See, that's the thing. Back in the 80s, you had soundtracks. I mean, and these soundtracks were huge. Produced a lot of hits. You don't get that anymore. I mean, the days of the soundtrack went away back in probably early 90s, maybe?
Well, soundtracks still continue to do stuff, but it became like an afterthought.
Yeah. It's like they don't... there was a couple newer movies that come out that had good soundtracks.
Yeah.
Like The Departed had a good soundtrack. Yeah. But, outside of that, I mean, you don't have like monster things like Dirty Dancing or let's say even the Caddyshack soundtrack.
Yeah.
Or Footloose. Beverly Hills Cop, I think the first one.
Oh, geez, yeah.
That had a lot of hits on it.
Yeah, that had what, the Glenn Frey song, and then what was the other one off of there? Axel F.
Pointer Sisters.
Yeah.
Axel F.
Yeah.
And then there's just a ton of them. But Purple Rain, too.
Yeah, well, Purple Rain, it's like the running joke that I always heard with Purple Rain was that was essentially a greatest hits album.
Really?
But I was just like, I'm going, well... Okay, maybe a couple songs, but I mean,
because he had albums before that.
Well, I mean, but I think it was more or less a saying like this was essentially like a greatest hits, like you could put it on and recognize every song kind of thing.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, really, Purple Rain. I mean, from the onset to the end, really, And it was interesting when Prince died. I was in Lima going to a Rascal Flatts show. They actually did a tribute to Prince, and they performed Purple Rain on stage.
Rascal Flatts did?
I swear as God is my witness, they did Purple Rain.
How bad was it?
It was good.
Really?
I was impressed. I was like, wow, okay.
I saw Rascal Flatts once, and I was not impressed.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think the guy can sing. I think live, I don't think he can sing. I don't think he can hear himself.
It's different. It's definitely got a different presentation. Like, I could tell when I was seeing him live, it was definitely a different sound, for sure. With Dirty Dancing, this was one of those movies where not only did it launch a lot of hits for the soundtrack, but it also helped launch a lot of careers. Yeah. I mean, Jennifer Grey, I think coming out of this, was it before or after this she did Ferris Bueller?
I think it was Ferris Bueller was before that, I think.
Was it? Okay. Yeah. But yeah, Jennifer Grey pretty much became a massive superstar because of this. I mean, she never had, I don't want to say she never had to work another day again in her life, but she became synonymous with this movie.
That was what, 86?
87.
87?
I think
Ferris Bueller was
86.
4, 6?
I thought it was mid-80s because there was some references in that movie to stuff that was going on like 86, 87. So I want to say it was mid-80s, if I recall. Funny with Ferris Bueller as well. Back in that time period, my dad was working in this now defunct, torn-down mall. Are we getting a little Google help over there?
86.
Yeah. 86 for Ferris Bueller. Yeah. Okay. At the time, my dad was working in a mall in Lima that's no longer standing called the American Mall. And there was... they had a store there called Farmore. You could go rent videotapes, and they had like a 3-tape special, like a hot release and like a mid-card kind of deal, and then like a general title. And I remember he rented Ferris Bueller, and you know, back in the days when you couldn't copy tape to tape because that was legal, he found a way to do it, and that was how I first saw Ferris Bueller, was because of a bootleg VHS rental tape.
You're a rebel.
You're snitching?
I'm so snitching.
Okay.
I still have some videos that I didn't take back to Family Video a long time ago. VHS tapes. Yeah. I don't even have a VHS player anymore. So
be kind, please rewind.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to rewind it.
No. Well,
I was always that guy.
Yeah, just turn it in. It's like, oh, we're going to charge you an extra $1. Okay, cool. I'll just do it again.
Yeah, right.
It's like, oh no, I'm getting charged $1 to not rewind a tape. Oh, our bad.
Good luck collecting those late fees.
Right. Yeah. We had run a poll a little bit earlier in the week about everybody's favorite 80s movie, and a couple of the responses we got was interesting. One, Ghostbusters came up a couple times. And, interesting, when I first saw Ghostbusters, I was not like, it wasn't I didn't like it, but I was just like, I don't get what the big deal is with this movie, right? But then I got older and got a kid, and she was watching it, and she thought the Marshmallow Man was cool, and I'm going, that's it?
Yeah.
That's it?
There's a documentary on Ghostbusters. You got to watch it. It's really good. I can't remember what it's on, but it's really good. They showed you how they went through the whole process with that movie, and the movie almost didn't get made. And they needed a song, so they ended up reaching out to Ray Parker Jr. And they said, hey, we need this song, and they built that movie kind of almost around that song. It's in the documentary, they explain all. It's really good.
And then they end up getting sued by Huey Lewis.
Did they get sued?
Yeah.
Why?
The music from Ghostbusters was similar to I Need a New Drug, and so Huey sued them for it and actually won and started getting a songwriting credit.
I had no idea. Seriously.
Yeah.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah. We actually just covered this the other day in pop music class.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah. It was quite a big deal when it happened because they, I guess Huey was like, supposedly, Huey claimed that they had originally asked him, and when he said no to do the song, they gave it to Ray Parker and told him to use Huey's music.
Wow, I did not know that. My mind is blown.
Yeah. It was as soon as I heard it, I'm like, well, that would make. And then they played them both. I was like, well, now that you play it, it makes a little bit of sense to me now.
This is Randomosity, Toledo's only vinyl radio show.
Where were you when?
President Carter won a major victory today in his bid to boycott the Moscow Olympic Games because of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan.
I have notified the Olympic Committee that with Soviet invading forces in Afghanistan, neither the American people nor I will support sending an Olympic team to Moscow.
The delegates to the U.S. Olympic Committee meeting approved the resolution by more than a 2-to-1 margin, 1604 to 797. The vote came after weeks of pressure from the Carter administration, including the final push, an appearance by Vice President Mondale this morning.
As we meet today, the lesson of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan still waits to be drawn. History holds its breath, for what is at stake is no less than the future security of the civilized world.
The Carter administration hopes that there will be a snowballing effect now that the U.S. Olympic Committee has decided not to go to Moscow, and that most of the nations of the free world will also decide not to send teams to the 1980 Summer Olympics. Tom Shell, ABC News, Colorado Springs.
You're listening to Randomosity with Dr. J. Thomas, and this is Toledo's only vinyl radio show.
I'm alright, nobody but about me. Why you got to give me a fight? Can't you just let it be? I'm alright, no nobody but about me. You got to give me a fight. Why don't you just let me be? Do what you like, do it naturally. But if it's too easy, you're gonna disagree. It's your life, isn't it a mystery? If it's nobody's business, it's everybody's game. Got to catch a day. No, now, get it, put it right away. Get it away, get you a job. I'm alright, nobody worry about me. Why you got to give me a fight? Can't you just let it be? I'm alright, don't nobody worry about me. You got to give me a fight. Why don't you just let me be? Who do you want? Who you gonna be tonight? Who is it really? Make it up your mind. You wanna listen to the man? Pay attention to the magistrate. And while I got you in the mood, listen to your heart beating, heart beating, heart beating. Down and get you moving. You make me feel good. I'm alright. Nobody worry about me. Why you got to give me a fight? Can't you just let it be? I'm alright. Don't nobody worry about me. You got to give me a fight. Why don't you just let me be? I'm alright.
This is Randomosity, Toledo's only vinyl radio show. Here comes another song
From the 80s.
Owens Community College Radio, keeping the community connected. Randomosity Live for Vinylthon 2024. Madonna and her massive, massive hit, Like a Virgin. That's we got these little things we've been running. Where Were You When? Talking about different historical events. I remember the stories about when she went on the MTV Video Music Awards and did that song. Do you remember that?
Yes. Maybe just a tad.
Maybe just a tad. You were kind of smiling. You were like, "Are we going to talk into this?" I was like, "Yeah, okay. Oh, here we go."
Madonna. I mean, you can't. Huge superstar, right?
Right.
Now I don't know what she's doing. I don't even know. Have you seen her lately?
Last time I saw her, she looked like Grandma Madonna.
She is. She just needs to dress better. She's not 20 years old anymore. Somebody needs to tell her that. She didn't get the memo or something.
No, she did not. It's sad. It's really, really sad because this is a woman who at one point was not only the hottest star in the world, but the hottest star in the world.
Yeah.
Like every woman strived. I don't care what anybody says. Every young woman in the 80s strived to be like Madonna.
She was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, she still is.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a superstar. I mean, you look at the 80s and what it produced. It produced Prince, Madonna, Michael Jackson, a million other ones I can't think off the top of my head. Wham.
Yeah.
Not that they're huge, but you see what I'm saying.
George Michael.
Which
we do have the Faith album with us.
That's a great album.
It is.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Every song on there.
I remember, my dad brought that home, and for a solid week played nothing but that.
Yeah. It sounds good, too. That's the important part. I mean, some of these songs, I mean, they sound okay, but if you really get into it, the way they're mastered, I mean, like we were talking about ABC earlier, that album is mastered beautifully. I mean, if you listen to that in headphones, it just sounds incredible.
Absolutely.
Vinyl, even the digital version sounds good.
Yeah, and, you know, that's a few years back, they finally did, after fan demand, they did Lexicon of Love, too. Did you ever have a chance to hear it?
No.
I've got a digital copy at home. I'll have to get one, too. But it's different. It's good. It's not as good as the first one.
Right.
But to hear everybody back again, it's nice. But talking about the mastering of the first Lexicon of Love album, the very first time I ever heard, that I recall hearing that, was back in 1986 when there was a radio station that moved into Lima called 92 Zoo. And they moved in they were called Waxy from Wapak, and they moved in and they became this dominant force in Lima radio, which you have a very interesting connection to that station, which we'll discuss in a second. But, you know, Zoo played, when they went on the air, what was hot, what was new, what was the big deal, MTV, everything. They were like, they would have just crowds of people around this station, which obviously you don't see anymore. But back then, you got to keep in mind, there was no digital, there was no streaming, nothing was instant. So if you wanted to see something or hear something, unless you had the opportunity to go and like turn it on your television, you had to go get it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You had to go and get it. You had to go hear it. You had to go see it. And 92 Zoo at one point was like the big station. And, you know, that was the station I grew up listening to. And every town that had a top 40 station in the 80s had that one station. It was like, this was their station. This was the kids' station.
Right.
This was, you know what I mean? Like here it was Kiss FM.
Right.
And RQN, which was also popular back then too. So many stations. I mean, growing up, obviously, different time for you. You got your first job in radio in the 80s, didn't you?
Yeah, it was, let's see, it was 15 or 16.
Okay.
I was when I started it. So that was like 85, it was 86. I was 16. And the first station I ever worked at was 93Q, which is WRQN today. And it was top 40 back then. And it was a great station back then. And I mean, it was top 40. It had a rhythmic lean to it, but it sounded like Detroit radio. At that time, Detroit radio sounded amazing. I mean, everything just worked. And there was a guy that came from Detroit, and he came down and he turned that station around, and it was like a 3,000 watt station, and it was competing against WMHE, which is now VKS, which is KISS.
Okay.
So you got, you know, this little 3,000 watt station competing against a 50,000 watt station, and they were just killing it. I mean, programming wise, just nailing it. Well, this program director left. I ended up taking his job. I ended up programming that station. And it was fun. It was a fun little station. And I don't know what my point was. What was my point? What was my point here?
We were talking about when you first got your job in radio and how like this was during the heyday of music in the mid 80s.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were playing, we didn't play it on vinyl. We played on carts. And to the listener, if you don't know what a cart is, it looks like an 8-track tape, basically. And we would dub the music onto these, and that's how we would play them back. The great thing about the carts, well, not so great thing about the carts, building we were in, the station was in Perrysburg, Country Charm Shopping Plaza. There used to be a Ken's Flowers there.
Okay.
We were above there. We were upstairs, and that's where the station was. Well, the rooms were smaller than this. The studio was smaller than this room here. And this studio's, you know, not too small, but it's smaller. It's like a closet we were in.
Sure.
So it would get really, really hot in there. Like the air conditioner didn't work or something. So we'd be playing something off cart, and they would just melt while they're on the air. Seriously. It happened to me so many times. I'll be on the air, and all of a sudden the cart just melts. And so I'm standing here going, what am I supposed to do here? So I just put another cart in and started it over. But it was, you know, I'm glad that it, you know, I wish we would have played vinyl back then. But we were upstairs, so the funny thing about that is somebody walked down the hallway, and, you know, all of our countdown shows came on vinyl, so we would play those, and somebody walking down the hallway, and the record would just skip going across. You go, boop, 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 and it goes from number 30 to number 2 in like a second.
Yes.
Seriously. And people were calling, yelling at me. I was like, hey, man, somebody was walking down the hallway. It had nothing to do with me.
Exactly. Oh, my God, that is hysterical. That was like, back when we did the very first live version of the show for Vinylthon. This has been a few years back now. This was before the studio was finished. And so we were down the hall right as you were coming, you saw like that big media center room, not the classroom you're in, but the one across the way, right? So we had the turntables there, and they weren't on like solid ground here like they are. They were on carts.
Oh, yeah.
Movable carts.
Not good.
Okay. So I'm like, I'm trying not to skip these things, trying my hardest. And I was playing the record, and I remember I was playing a Garth Brooks song, and I was in the middle of Garth Brooks, and I turned the wrong way. Boom. It just skipped right to the next song.
Friends in low places, man. Every time.
It's
every time.
I'm like, oh my God.
Stay right there. We'll be straight back right after these.
Thrill of my life. This is Randomosity.
Toledo's only vinyl radio show.
Vinyl radio show.
Opening eyes and belly on flicker. She moves, she darting away. The city's a slave, he's eating his mistress. She's moody and gray, she's mean and she's restless. So restless. All over you, as they say. Rumors or rivals, yell at the stripers. Hi guys, by the way, all you away, you're being illegal. Making you save your behavior look evil. Pressing on big surprise, your smile make you. To play. Maybe we have more playtime than money. Makes them on big surprise. She knows something new. I pull my shot off and pray. I'm saving myself to suffer the heat wave. Pull my shot off and pray. We're coming up on re-election day.
5 roads and backways lovers pass downwind. Cut up murmurs and sound. Calm hands on skin. Saving some time to slip away. Because time shouldn't be asking why. Could be my election day. Makes them on big surprise. You know something new. I
Owens Community College Radio, keeping the community connected. That's Arcadia and Election Day from 1985, featuring members of Duran Duran. And, that's one of those things that, people don't really talk about too often anymore. That used to happen a lot. You had a lot of those bands like that, Power Station, for example. But coming up here in just a few minutes, we got our special interview with Martha Quinn. So don't you go anywhere. This is Randomosity, Toledo's only vinyl radio show. Owens Community College Radio is the station. My name is Dr. J. Thomas. And ladies and gentlemen, don't you go anywhere.
Identify yourself, please.
This is Randomosity, Toledo's only vinyl radio show.
He's on, baby!
One of the big things that we had going on this year for Randomosity Live for Vinylthon 2024 was an exclusive in-market interview with Martha Quinn, original MTV VJ. And, we were just ecstatic to get this interview. And she was such a nice person. We had such a great time interviewing her. So what we're going to do here is we're going to play a little clip from the interview. And then at the end, we're going to tell you how you can hear the rest of it. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about the producer's cut of the show. So stick around for Martha Quinn right after the Buggles and Video Killed the Radio Star.
In the beginning was the music, but there was no one around to hear it. As the population grew in numbers, music grew in popularity. Man invented the radio and the phonograph. High fidelity made quite a splash. But it was full stereo sound that made the explosion. Soon television came along and gave us the gift of sight, but it was cable that gave us the freedom of choice. For a while it seemed there was nothing new on the horizon. Announcing the latest achievement in home entertainment, the power of sight, video, the power of sound, MTV Music Television.
Back in 52, lying awake intently tuning in on you. If I was young, it didn't stop you coming through. They took the credit for your second symphony, rewritten by machine on new technology. And now I understand the problems you could see. I met your children.
Randomosity live for Vinylthon 2024 on Owens Community College Radio, keeping the community connected. Well, ladies and gentlemen, folks, the time is finally here, and we're so happy to have the one and the only Martha Quinn, original MTV VJ, for our special event saluting the 1980s today. Thank you so much for joining us, Martha. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for the invitation. It's a great opportunity to be on Toledo's only vinyl radio show. That's awesome.
Absolutely. You know, it's something that we really pride ourselves on here, and with recently winning Best of Toledo again from the Toledo City Paper, second year in a row, just couldn't be happier. So thank you so much for that.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Absolutely. Now, before we get into the interview here, I know there are probably a number of younger people listening who may not necessarily be familiar with just how important you are to the rise of not only MTV, but 80s culture and what all we have come to know as the visual medium of listening to music. So take us back in time to the launch of MTV, in particular, when you first became aware of it, concept behind what it was going to be before it launched. How did you get involved with all that?
Well, it's really interesting you say about young people today and not being really aware of the magnitude of what MTV was. Though MTV gear is still today sold in Kohl's and Target. You see MTV sweatshirts and T-shirts. And I think the logo in itself communicates that we're not going to take it attitude, that we're thinking outside the box, really embodying the rock and roll attitude that MTV was. So all ages can suss that out from the logo. But somebody was telling me the other day, you know, Martha, I don't think people know today what the three letters MTV means. So I'll start with that. MTV is music television, and what it was a cable channel that showed music videos 24/7. It seems now, because we're so used to that idea, it seems now like, well, what's the big deal? We have channels that show sports 24/7. We have channels that show movies 24/7. We have channels that show animal videos 24/7. But back in the day, that wasn't a thing. The only time you saw music was maybe Friday night or Saturday night, a couple of hours, maybe a band on Saturday Night Live or Dick Clark's American Bandstand. There wasn't very much music on television at all. So for it to come on 24/7 was massively mind-blowing. It was really a pop culture disruptor.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny you say that, because going back to that point in time, August 1st of 1981, I believe it was a Saturday, you know, the world of music and entertainment was about to change and no one really knew it. So how soon after that official launch was it that you all kind of looked at each other and went, hey, I think this is a bigger deal than what we all thought it was going to be?
Well, you're right. We weren't sure in the beginning how big of a deal it was. I was working as a clerk at my college dorm, and when I got the job at MTV, it was in July, and I didn't quit my job at the dorm. Even though I had graduated college, I was still working at the dorm. I was one of those people. And I didn't quit my job at the dorm right away because it was like, well, this is a steady paycheck. I don't know what's going on with this wacky cable music thing. I have no idea. I better keep my job at the dorm for a while, which I did. You know, I would go give out toilet paper to the students and then go work at MTV because I just wasn't sure what kind of future this wacky venture was going to have.
I remember being a kid sitting there being fascinated by, you know, I was born in the early 1980s, and I remember very vividly seeing, you know, you and Adam Curry and, you know, all those cats from back in the day, you know, and all those acts that came through MTV. Was there ever anyone that as soon as you saw them, you just knew these people are the real deal?
Gosh, that's an interesting question. You know, you mentioned Adam Curry as one of the early VJs. I'll shout out the original MTV 5. It's me, Mark Goodman, Alan Hunter, Nina Blackwood, and JJ Jackson. And, you know, I've stopped saying that I'm an original MTV VJ because people have no idea what a VJ is. People barely know, which it was VJ was video jockey as opposed to DJ, which was a disc jockey. But now people, even if I say now, well, I'm a DJ on iHeartRadio, I'll tell people, oh, what do you do? I'm a DJ. And people go, what? They look at me like I'm that person in Las Vegas, like Skrillex or something. And I'm like, no, not that kind of DJ. I play records on the radio. So these terms that seem so familiar to us, like they would never go away, eventually even they are forgotten. So I was a VJ because I played videos on MTV. When my daughter was growing up and she would tell people thought I was like on Jersey Shore or something, like, oh, what show is your mom on? Because the days of 24/7 videos vanished before our very eyes. So I personally never expected it to. Like, first we thought MTV, oh, who's going to watch these videos? And then people turned out to watch them over and over and over and over and over again. Like Aha's Take On Me video has been seen 1 billion times. But so then it seemed like, well, this 24-hour music format, well, now it's never going to go away. It's as solid as the floor beneath our feet.
To hear the complete version of the interview with Martha Quinn, go to wherever you may find us. Find the producer's cut from Randomosity Live for Vinylthon 2024. It's going to be going online this weekend. That's where you'll be able to find the complete interview and check it out. And also, more music, more good times, more fun than you can shake a stick at. David Lee Roth now.
Rockin' steady in her daddy's car. She got the stereo with the big guitars, and that's alright. Yeah! Alright. I got the itch and a restless soul. She gone with the wind, gonna go for a pop tonight. Yeah! And that's alright. Girl, we've been meant for this since we were born. No problems now, coast is clear. It's just the calm for the soul. This must be just like living in paradise. Just like paradise. And I don't wanna go home. And I don't want to go. This must be just like living in paradise. And I don't wanna go home. Susie, girl, for crying out loud, you got all the right moves. You make me my heart out nightly. Alright with me. Yeah. No special favors, make it up to go. We'll spend it later, got to make this romance last. That's it. Some folks say easy come is easy
Sing it if you know it. Must be just like living in paradise. That's David Lee Roth, Just Like Paradise. We were jamming in the studio, weren't we, Russ?
We were, yes.
Yeah, good God.
Good song.
It was.
You don't hear that enough.
No, and that whole album too. That's another gem of an album that like kind of flies under the radar because everybody plays that song, but people don't realize how good that whole album really is.
Yeah, there's a lot of great songs on there.
Oh yeah, we were talking too about the and you actually pointed out to me. I never realized till I took a better look at it that the inside, I guess, jacket sleeve work here with Skyscraper. It's got some interesting art that's very reminiscent of the band he was in prior.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because him and Eddie had a falling out. I mean, they were not in a good spot when he did that particular album.
Right.
And I think Sammy had joined the band. I think he had joined Van Halen prior to that. Because he went and did his own solo. Because that was his second solo album, right?
Yeah, well, this was the first, I think, full-length LP. Because he did the EP, Crazy from the Heat. That was the one that had Just a Gigolo and California Girls.
Okay, that's right.
And I think he may have done something prior to that. I don't remember. But this was the first, this is the first full-length LP I remember.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Because it was an EP.
Yeah.
I was thinking he had an album first, but it wasn't.
I used to have that EP years ago, and I played, for some reason, I could not get enough of Just a Gigolo. Everybody hates that song, but it's just like, I could swing to that song.
The one thing about David Lee Roth, going back to MTV, is his videos were great.
Yeah.
They were always funny.
The video for Jump, we played it a little bit earlier, that... I'm pretty sure that has to be the least expensive music video ever made.
Yeah, because they were just jumping around and playing on stage.
What is this we're watching? Oh, my goodness. Roxy's holding the camera phone there, taking some pictures. I got here on Google duty right now because for something we're going to be coming up here on just a second, talking about live music, talking about music, rock music as a whole, brought to you on the program here by Gromies. Every time you hear rock music, brought to you by Gromies, Lima, Ohio, 1206 West Robb Avenue, and all of the program is brought to you in part by Allied Record Exchange in Toledo, South Reynolds Road, and in Oregon, 3245 Navarre Avenue. One of the big things that came out of the 80s that was a big deal was the concerts, the festivals, and you had the US Festival in the early part of the 80s. You had Live Aid, and Live Aid was a big deal. And, talk to us a little bit from your perspective, being somebody who was, even though it happened in 85, you remember it, I'm assuming, fairly well, don't you?
Yeah, I only watched bits and pieces of it because I think, was that on MTV?
I think it was. Well, they did do cut-ins because talking about when we had the interview with Martha Quinn, we were shown getting ready for it different bits and pieces of when they were doing live cutaways at the show. It was her, Mark Goodman was there. One in particular, Judas Priest played, and Martha did a really good interview with Rob Halford. So, yeah, MTV did do cutaways for it.
Yeah, now that you mentioned, I do remember the cutaways. I think it was on HBO or a pay-per-view or something. That's how you actually got to watch the show.
I think it was pay-per-view.
I think you're right.
Well, might have been HBO. Because I remember later 90s when the Moscow Music Peace Festival happened, that was pay-per-view because my dad ordered it.
I know that I didn't get to watch it because whatever channel it was on, we didn't have. So, I didn't get to watch it, but I mean, I saw bits and pieces of it. But
yeah, and that's something else too. People take for granted. It's like, what do you mean it wasn't on? If it was not in your market, you were screwed.
Yeah, there was no such thing as streaming back then.
Yeah, you could not bootleg a concert onto your phone because some people didn't even have phones.
Their cell phones, I mean, the way they exist, cell phones didn't exist then.
Yeah, it was like the Zach Morris phone was the big deal.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, when all that went down, talking about Def Leppard, a funny story is they were in Toledo in '88, and I was working for 93Q at the time. Well, the tickets were going on sale like the next morning or whatever, so they wanted me to go down to Bowling Green and stand in line at Finders with all these listeners, right? Mm-hmm. And then I had to go from there, from the line, and walk around the block to get to a payphone to call back to the station to call these reports in.
Oh, God.
Cell phones did not exist. And he only had so many quarters. I kept running out of quarters. I'm like, this is stupid.
I was going to say, come on, they couldn't even pay for your payphone trips?
No.
Oh, yeah, this is radio. Never mind.
Cheap. Cheap. I had to buy my own concert tickets, too.
Oh, come on. Give the man a roll of quarters. Come on. God. Randomosity live for Vinylthon 2024, Owens Community College Radio. If I could keep from potting my mic up so darn hot, that would be a fantastic thing. Good Lord, you think I'd never done this before, Russ?
It's your first day?
It's my first day.
All right.
Yeah, good
that
times.
Explains it.
Well, you know, that's probably why I never got to work for the big dogs.
Yeah, that's not true.
That's not true. You know. Oh, good Lord. We were just talking about places to eat and things to do. And, you know, funny thing is, we're coming up on it, folks. We're almost to the end of the program here. So if you do have things to do, thank you for hanging out with us for almost the last 4 hours. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. Randomosity, Toledo's only vinyl radio show, is brought to you each and every single week, courtesy of Randomosity Podcast, LLC, copyright 2023-2024. No portion of this program may be rebroadcast, retransmitted, or reproduced without the express written consent of Randomosity Podcast, LLC, and this station. Got it out. All right. Good times. I know. I do that each and every single week. I have it memorized verbatim.
I was going to say, you have that memorized or tattooed somewhere? You got a teleprompter behind
I've said it so many times, I just know it off the top of my head.
I was just waiting for you to breathe.
I do it every week. Every single week.
You're a very efficient host.
Well, I try to be. I try to keep things moving. When you're a table games dealer 5 days out of the week, you got to keep it moving.
Got to keep it moving.
Got to keep it moving. There's money to be made and people to see. That's all. Well, in more ways than one. Yes. Anyways. I don't know where I was going with that, but
I do.
Yeah, I bet you do. Okay. You know what? We're going to come back one last time to wrap things up, and we'll be right back after this, so don't you go anywhere. Randomosity live for Vinylthon 2024. I think that's the year, isn't it? Good Lord, let's just get out of here and
1984?
Go to 1984.
Stay right there. We'll be straight back right after these.
This is Randomosity,
Toledo's only vinyl radio show.
Have you ever gone to a fish and chips restaurant for a delicious fish sandwich only to find a line that's a mile long?
That line's a mile long.
Have you ever gone on a big fishing trip and didn't catch a thing, and how embarrassing it was to face the family empty-handed?
Daddy, where's your fish?
Well, now you'll never have to worry again with the all-new Dough Deal Pocket Fish.
The Dough Deal Pocket Fish.
That's right, the Dough Deal Pocket Fish. It's always ready when you need it. Just reach down into your pants and pull it out, and there it is.
Oh, what a cute little fish you have. Is that a flounder or a fluke?
Believe me, dear, that's no fluke. Listen to another happy Dough Deal Pocket Fish owner, actor Warren Beatty.
I take mine to Bennigan's. I get filleted every time.
The Dough Deal Pocket Fish. You shouldn't leave home without it.
Are you sure that's not a fluke?
Oh, Ma, you mean we gotta have hamburgers again?
No, Melvin. Something special tonight.
Now, from the people who brought you Prince Spaghetti, Wild Rice.
Wild Rice! Wild Rice!
Look, on the plate. Wow, it's moving.
That's right, kids. It's Duran Duran Wild Rice.
Wild Rice! Wild Rice!
And Melvin, it's loaded with vitamins and minerals. Just watch what happens when I tear open the package.
It even moves in the package, Ma.
And just think how it'll feel in your stomach.
Hello, this is Andy from Duran Duran. I think you love our Wild Rice.
Wild Rice! Wild Rice!
You'll be hungry like a wolf for Duran Duran's Wild Rice.
Available at a grocer near you.
Pick up some today and watch for our newest products, Wham Jam and Ike and Tina Tuna.
Wild Rice! Wild Rice!
After a hot, sweaty concert, Tears for Fears turns to Shout Detergent.
These are the stains we can do without. Come on, we got nothing to do. Come on.
Tears for Fears Shout Detergent.
This is Randomosity.
This is Randomosity,
Toledo's only vinyl radio show.
Vinyl Radio Show.
Getting things wrapped up for the highlight show from Randomosity Live for Vinylthon 2024 on Owens Community College Radio. Don't forget to check into that producer's cut online, going online this weekend at all of our streaming media outlets. Ladies and gentlemen, the doctor has left the office.
Another night slowly closes in, and I feel so lonely. Touching heat, freezing on my skin. I pretend you still hold me. I'm going crazy, I'm losing sleep. Watching shadows move across the wall.